Hydra, aka the Marvel Universe's all-purpose boogeyman, is what happens when you mix Nazis, secret societies, ancient cults, and just a dash of reptilian conspiracy theory. Born from an ancient alien-influenced cabal, Hydra's roots predate modern civilization, but its most infamous incarnation rose in the 20th century, when Baron Wolfgang von Strucker, an ex-Nazi occultist with a flair for dramatic uniforms, rebuilt it from the ruins of Hitler's Thule society. Hydra wasn't just another Axis offshoot. It was the deeper, darker current beneath the surface, combining Nazi pseudoscience, Japanese assassin orders, and esoteric relics like the Spear of Imhotep into one tidy, horrifying package. Sound familiar? Hydra is Marvel's terrifying mirror of real-world institutions. Nazi SS obsession with the occult, Soviet-style sleeper agents, CIA coup in foreign nations, and fascist desires of order above all else. Its motto?
Cut off one head, two more shall take its place.
Isn't just branding, it's strategy. Every time one Hydra cell is destroyed, another reboots with a new leader, more funding, and creepier goals. One day, it's world dominion. The next, it's replacing the UN with an immortal techno cult. Hydra's leadership ranges from megalomaniacs like the Red Skull to undead warlocks and fascist clones of Captain America. Their ideology evolved from Aryan supremacy to a broader elitist worldview. Anyone can join as long as you're loyal, ruthless, and willing to sacrifice your humanity. What makes Hydra truly scary isn't just the tech or bioweapons. It's the way they hide in plain sight.
Hail Hydra.
Your banker, your boss at S.H.I.E.L.D. They're a reminder that evil doesn't always march in jackboots. Sometimes it wears a suit, smiles at cameras, and whispers,
Hail Hydra,
when no one's listening. The Red Skull's plans in World War II. The Red Skull isn't just a Nazi. He's the Nazi that other Nazis found unsettling. Johann Schmidt was handpicked by Hitler himself, not just for loyalty, for his unflinching cruelty and terrifying imagination. While the regular SS was busy goose-stepping, Schmidt was off building secret bunkers in the Alps, launching U-boat wolf packs, and experimenting with occult science that made Himmler look like a book club host. Answering only to Hitler, he quickly outgrew even the Fuhrer's trust, dreaming not of serving the Reich, but of replacing it with something even darker. Schmidt's operations weren't limited to Europe. Before the U.S. entered World War II, he launched covert attacks on American soil, sponsoring propaganda, kidnapping scientists, and bombing cities, all to soften the U.S. for eventual collapse. These efforts didn't just mirror real-life fascist infiltration and Cold War espionage, they were Marvel's supervillain remix of them. Red Skull is what happens when you mix Nazi ideology, CIA-style black ops, and Stalinist paranoia and pour it into a skull-faced blender. While Allied forces fought the war with tanks and grit, Schmidt dabbled in brainwashing devices, energy domes, and doomsday robots. His endgame? Der Tag, a plan to awaken massive war machines, aka the Sleepers, and wipe out humanity if the Reich fell. Only Schmidt planned to trigger it himself and crown himself the New World Order. What makes the Red Skull uniquely terrifying isn't just his methods, it's his vision. He doesn't want mere control. He wants theology, technological, and metaphysical domination. Where Hitler sought to reshape the world, Schmidt sought to obliterate it and rebuild it in his image. He's not just a fascist, he's the final boss of fascism. And in a world of super soldiers and sorcery, he weaponizes history itself. DC's Fourth Reich. The Fourth Reich is what you'd get if the worst parts of history were dragged kicking and screaming into a superhero universe. Then added superpowers, armor, and a budget. Cooked up in DC Comics as a neo-Nazi supervillain squad, the Fourth Reich is the brainchild of Vandal Savage, an immortal warlord who decided Hitler didn't dream big enough. Savage's twisted goal? Wipe out the descendants of Golden Age heroes and reboot fascism in 21st century America, with capes, metahumans, and the occasional blood ritual. This isn't your average hate group with tiki torches. The Fourth Reich blends Nazi ideology, occult mysticism, and high-tech warfare into genocidal stew. They want a 1,000-year Reich, not in Berlin, but right in the heart of American suburbia. Think real-world fascism, but with propaganda drones, energy swords, and Nazi-themed speedsters who could punch through tanks. It's as if the Third Reich read the Justice League's playbook and said, cool, now let's make it evil. Led by Savage, who has millennia of conquest under his belt, the team includes charming figures like Captain Nazi, yes, that's his real name, Baroness Blitzkrieg, and Reichsmark, a living metal statue turns people to steel with a touch. They don't just march, they blitz. Hidden bases, coordinated strikes, sleeper agents, and law enforcement. This is fascism with a supervillain upgrade and better tailoring. What makes them terrifying isn't just their ideology, it's how effectively they execute it. These aren't just thugs. They're strategic, relentless, and powered by both dark science and Nazi sorcery. The Fourth Reich isn't just trying to win a battle. They want to erase legacy, rewrite history, and build a new world where democracy never had a chance. In fiction or reality, that's a nightmare with jackboots and jetpacks. Apocalypse as a metaphor for totalitarianism. Apocalypse is what happens when every dystopian nightmare, Nazism, Stalinism, North Korea, and Orwell's 1984 gets hurled into a volcano and crowned with a god. Created by Jack Kirby and the New Gods in 1971, Apokolips is the flaming hell planet ruled by Darkseid, a cosmic deposit whose hobby is crushing free will. Unlike other evil empires that pretend to offer prosperity or order, Apokolips skips the PR and just demands absolute obedience. Every heartbeat, every thought, every breath belongs to the state, or more accurately, to Darkseid. At the bottom of this infernal pyramid are the Hunger Dogs, barely clothed, broken laborers bred for misery. Their lives fuel the planet's furnaces, quite literally. Think gulags with lava and zero hope. Above them are parademons, brainwashed stormtroopers whose helmets muffle empathy and amplify violence. It's like if Orwell's thought police and the SS had a baby and gave it wings. Overseeing this are the Female Furies, a squad of sadistic enforcers trained by Granny Goodness, who's essentially what you get if Dolores Umbridge joined the Gestapo. Darkseid's dream isn't conquest, it's submission. His quest for the anti-life equation isn't about math. It's about racing free will from the multiverse. Apokolips weaponizes everything. Technology, sorcery, psychology. Boom tubes let them invade worlds instantly. Happy Land amusement parks aren't actually torture facilities. Omega beams don't just kill, they break your spirit. What makes Apokolips terrifying isn't just its fire pits or monstrous armies, it's the system. It's how everything, from smiling propaganda to soul-harvesting machines, serves the same goal, to crush individuality. In a universe filled with gods and heroes, Apokolips reminds us what happens when power is absolute and unchecked. It's not just a villain's lair, it's a warning label for history, wrapped in flames and wearing a granite scowl. The Hand. The Hand is what happens when ancient ninja traditions gets hijacked by dark magic, death cult ideology, and centuries of violent nationalism. First appearing in Daredevil 1981, the Hand isn't just a bunch of sword-swinging assassins. They're a supernatural terror network rooted in real-world parallels. Ultra-nationalistic samurai factions, secret police fanatics, and extreme cults obsessed with purity, obedience, and power. Founded in 1588 by Kagenobu Yoshioka, to combat Western influence, the group was later corrupted by the Snake Root clan and their worship of a demonic entity called the Beast. From that point on, things went from honor-bound warriors to zombie death ninjas in service of a hell god. Ideologically, the Hand is a dark cocktail of religious fanaticism, imperial nostalgia, and totalitarian dogma. It's fascism in black robes, militant obedience, sacred bloodlines, ideological purity, and death as a gateway to eternal servitude. Their structure mirrors Nazi SS units and secret intelligence services. Jonin at the top, Genin as expendable shock troops and absolutely no exit plan except death, which doesn't even stop you. In fact, that might just be your promotion. And yes, sometimes the Punisher leads them. It's weird like that. What makes the Hand terrifying is that they never stay dead. Kill one, he might be back tomorrow, not loyal to the enemy. Their blend of espionage, necromancy, and martial arts turns every ally into a potential ambush, and every grave into a recruitment center. In a world of heroes who tries to save lives, the Hand collects corpses and sends them back with knives. They're the CIA if it ran on blood magic and it had absolutely no chill. LexCorp as a corporate authoritarianism. LexCorp isn't just a corporation. It's a dystopia in a suit and tie. Born from Lex Luthor's disdain for working under anyone else's byline, the company started as an aerospace outfit and quickly ballooned into a global empire. Think if Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Rupert Murdoch merged, and then decided the real problem with the world was too much democracy. LexCorp gobbles up banks, tech firms, media outlets, and even energy grids, all while preaching about progress and innovation. But make no mistake, this isn't capitalism with a conscience. It's monopoly as megalomania. In terms of historical parallels, LexCorp is the corporate industrial Frankenstein of the 20th century. It echoes CIA Black Ops budgets, the military-industrial complex Eisenhower warned us about, and the techno-surveillance state perfected by totalitarians. And let's call it what it is. LexCorp is the privatized version of Nazi ideology. Stripped of its uniforms, but not its thirst for control. Like the Reich, it believes in a chosen elite. In this case, intellectual and economic superiors, a submissive population, and the obliteration of dissent. The banners have been replaced by branding, and the stormtroopers wear suits. Luthor's ideology is mediocratic authoritarianism. Only the smartest, richest, and most ruthless should lead, and conveniently, that's always him. His dream isn't just to run the free market. It's to replace every flag with his logo. Luthor's leadership style is a mix of Steve Jobs and Machiavelli, minus the turtlenecks. His board, a mix of soulless yes-men and covert agents. LexCorp's subsidiaries build killer robots, dabble in gene editing, and churn out propaganda disguised as news. Their labs cook up things like kryptonite weapons and mind control tech, and their legal team makes sure no one ever hears about it. What makes LexCorp terrifying isn't just its reach, it's its normalization. This is tyranny with a quarterly report. In a world of superheroes, LexCorp shows what happens when unchecked capitalism wears a halo and a headset. With Lex at the helm, people aren't citizens, they're assets. And morality's just a line and the budget marked optional. Watchmen's world government conspiracies. In Watchmen, peace comes courtesy of a fake alien and 3 million dead New Yorkers. Welcome to the world of Adrian Veidt, aka Ozymandias, who looked at the Cold War, saw two superpowers ready to turn Earth into radioactive gravel, and thought, what if I lied really hard? Veidt's plan is simple. Simulate an extraterrestrial threat so terrifying that the US and Soviet Union will immediately stop hating each other and start hugging. The catch? It has to murder millions and gaslight the world to pull it off. This isn't your average villain plot. It's a mashup of CIA Black Ops, Nazi propaganda, and Cold War brinkmanship. Veidt's operation mimics real-world atrocities committed in the name of greater good logic. Think the Manhattan Project, MKUltra, or Operation Gladio, only with more tentacles. Through a web of shell companies, dead scientists, secret labs, and psychic cloning tech, Veidt orchestrates a disaster so grand it becomes unchallengeable. His corporate empire functions like a privatized intelligence agency with no oversight, pushing the boundaries of plausible deniability into cosmic horror territory. The ideology? Cold, clean utilitarianism. Veidt sees morality as a luxury Earth can't afford. Democracy, transparency, even human grief, these are obstacles to be managed. He believes salvation is only possible when the masses are manipulated by a higher intelligence, namely him. What makes this terrifying isn't just the kill count, it's how convincing it feels. Veidt doesn't conquer the world with armies, but with branding, PR, and a well-timed mass casualty event. He weaponizes fear to impose unity, proving that with enough genius and resources, truth itself is pliable. In Watchmen, peace is real, but so is the lie that built it. And the scariest part? It works. Weapon X and government black ops experiments. Weapon X is what happens when a government decides ethics are optional and pain is a design feature. Born out of the larger Weapon Plus program in the aftermath of World War II, Weapon X wasn't just about building super soldiers. It was about breaking people so thoroughly they'd forget they were ever human. Its most famous success story is Wolverine, who's less a superhero, more a walking monument to the consequences of bureaucratic evil. If MK Ultra had claws and a healing factor, this would be it. Run by black-budget agencies like Department K and staffed with sociopathic scientists like Professor Thornton, Weapon X was less a military lab and more a torture chamber with government clearance. Subjects were drugged, experimented on, mind-wiped, and brainwashed, all in the name of national security. Their minds were scrubbed like chalkboards, their bodies filled with metal, and their wills crushed into obedience. And Weapon X isn't just fictional horror. It's a chilling echo of real-world atrocities, particularly World War II Nazi experiments. Just like the hypothermia trials that froze prisoners to test endurance, or the high-altitude chamber tests that crushed lungs to mimic airplane crashes, Weapon X used human subjects as disposable data points. No consent, no conscience, just the cold arithmetic of cruelty. The ideology was pure ends justify the means paranoia. The goal? Create human weapons who could kill on command, erase inconvenient memories, and never ask questions. Whether assassinating foreign leaders or neutralizing domestic threats, Weapon X operatives weren't just soldiers. They were deniable assets built to be discarded. What makes Weapon X truly terrifying is that its monsters weren't born, they were made. The claws, the rage, the fractured memories, all side effects of a system that valued power more than personhood. In a fictional world full of gods and aliens, it's not the supernatural threats that linger. It's the idea that your own government could turn you into a weapon, erase who you were, and file you under classified. I guess the real monster is the one with a clipboard and clearance. Access America. Access America is basically fascism goes cosplay. Originally introduced in Young All-Stars as the Axis Powers answer to the Justice Society, this villain team took everything charming about Golden Age heroes and warped it into a propaganda nightmare. Imagine if Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman were reimagined by the Third Reich after one too many Nietzsche's quotes, and you're halfway there. Ubermensch was literally Nazi Superman, Hydra, a Valkyrie with a thirst for divine fascism, and of course Sea-Wolf, because why not turn Aquaman into a literal predator? Each was a living poster child for fascist ideology with a cape and a mission to break Allied morale, one sabotage at a time. But Access America wasn't just Saturday morning cartoon villains goose-stepping around the battlefield. Their methods mirrored real wartime strategies, covert ops, targeted assassinations, and mythologizing terror. Think the Nazi occult obsession meets OSS Black Ops flair. Later, revamps made it worse. In the 2000s, the modern Axis America rebranded itself as a domestic cult disguised as a wholesome youth camp. Led by a fascist mystic named Manson and featuring brainwashing through false memories, they waged psychological warfare in the age of cable news and talk radio. Less storm the beaches, more gaslight the nation. Their terror lies in the idea that symbols matter, and when corrupted, they become weapons. Access America twisted archetypes of hope into state-sanctioned nightmares. They didn't just attack cities, they attacked belief. In a fictional world where heroes inspire nations, Access America reminds its people how easily iconography can be hijacked to serve tyranny. Fascism doesn't need tanks when it has myth, media, and mind games. Whether hiding in propaganda films or memory implants, they prove the most dangerous enemy is the one that wears your flag while burning down your ideals. Masterman. Masterman is what you get when the Nazis look at Captain America and say, we can do fascism faster and buffer. Debuting in the 1970s as Marvel's answer to the twisted legacy of Nazi super science, Wilhelm Lohmer began as a sickly German artist who traded his paintbrush for propaganda. He was injected with the Reich's knockoff super soldier serum, one part pseudoscience, one part occult blood ritual, and emerged as the Aryan ideal in spandex. Super strong, nearly indestructible, and dumb enough to believe his biceps proved racial superiority. His roots are steeped in real-time nightmares, Nazi eugenics, occultism, and the grotesque pursuit of racial perfection. Like the real-life Nazi experiments in Auschwitz, or the mystic obsession of Himmler's SS, Masterman's creation wasn't just about winning wars. It was about making myth real. He's the weaponized Ubermensch fantasy, built not only to crush Allied tanks, but to embody a terrifying ideology in flesh. The fact that he fought in places like Wakanda shows the racial intent behind his missions. Destroy what the Nazis saw as inferior civilizations and steal their resources to power the Reich's magical ambitions. Over the years, he's clashed with Captain America, Namor, and even Black Panther. Basically anyone who could throw hands and had a moral compass. But what makes him truly terrifying isn't just that he can punch a plane out of the sky, it's that he believes in his own twisted destiny. He's not a hired gun or a brainwashed pawn. He's a true believer in fascist supremacy, wrapped in muscles and myth. In the Marvel Universe, Masterman is a nightmare made flesh, a living monument to what happens when state-sponsored hate meets science fiction. He doesn't just fight for the Reich, he is the Reich, in boots and a cape, promising that tyranny isn't dead, it's just waiting to rise again. The Unmen. When mad science, fascism, and necromancy all swipe right on each other, you get the Unmen. Born in the swampy shadows of Swamp Thing comics, they began as the stitched-up brainchild of Anton Arcane, a former Nazi medic turned full-blown occult Frankenstein. During World War II, Arcane harvested corpses from concentration camps, sewed them into abominations, and reanimated them as mindless servants. No ideology, no philosophy, just raw control. That way, Arcane is less war criminal with the cause and more of a one-man Unit 731 in a lab coat, answering the question, what if Mengele read Necronomicon instead of Nietzsche's? After the war, Arcane's creations didn't die out, they metastasized. In the 60s, US military scientists, because of course they got involved, captured some Unmen in New Orleans and poked at them like Cold War kids with scalpels. These experiments eventually gave way to the Unmen, a Vertigo revival where the remnants of Arcane's legacy had become freak show attractions in a town literally called Aberrants. Picture a gothic Disneyland built on trauma and mutation, and you're halfway there. The Unmen don't rally behind ideology. They are ideology made meat. They represent the erasure of identity, the obliteration of agency, and the ultimate extension of fascist thinking. People as tools, bodies as canvases, life as raw material. Arcane didn't care if they believed in anything. He just needed them to obey. What makes them terrifying isn't just their twisted appearances, brains and hands, torsos with eyes like barnacles. It's that they're not evil by choice. They were built this way. In a world of comic book villains who choose destruction, the worst monsters are made by systems that dehumanize first and stitch later. Warrior Woman. Warrior Woman is the nightmare version of a Cold War spy fantasy, part Nazi super soldier, part femme fatale, and fully committed to fascist genocide. Julia Koenig began as a master manipulator in Hitler's intelligence services, codenamed Madame Ratzel, a scientist-spy hybrid sent to extract the super soldier serum from captured Allied assets. After an explosive mishap during one such mission, she wound up transformed into the female counterpart of Masterman, stronger, faster, and scarier than most of the Nazi Party's dreams come true. Like many fictional fascist projects, her arc draws directly from real-world horrors. She's a distilled version of Nazi science's worst ambitions. Eugenics wrapped in myth, state-sponsored human experimentation, and the belief that ideology can justify any monstrous transformation. And much like the Soviet bioweapon programs or the CIA's covert MK Ultra experimentation, the fictional program that birthed her operates without oversight, ethics, or concern for human cost. Its only goal being ideologically supremacy through enhanced warfare. Koenig doesn't stop at being a super soldier. She's also a doctoral-level biochemist and battlefield commander. She blends espionage with brute strength, seduction with statecraft, and science with slaughter. Whether she's raiding Wakanda for vibranium, plotting terror cells in Axis Mundi, or marrying her fellow Ubermensch to birth the Nazi Messiah, everything she does serves the twisted version of a resurrected Reich. What makes her terrifying isn't just her power, it's her purpose. She's not unhinged or chaotic, she's calculated, methodical, and deeply loyal to a genocidal ideology. Warrior Woman shows how authoritarian regimes can turn intellect and beauty into instruments of horror. She's not a loose cannon, she's the loaded gun of fascism, aimed straight at the heart of modern ideals. A symbol of what happens when the worst parts of history refuse to stay buried and come back stronger. Well, that's it for this one. If you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and ring the bell so you never miss a drop. Craving more stories from comics, movies, SCPs, and beyond? Check out this video right here. Cheers, and see you in the next one.